Hello, 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 everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, August the 24th, 2021. I can hardly believe it. This is how far God has brought us. We are indeed very, very, very grateful to be alive. Thank you so much for joining me on today's show. It is the virtual storytelling show. Okay, my name is Zoe Baraka. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Listen, I am not able to see you. I'm gonna need you to do me a favor. Please go into the comment section, say good morning, say hello, tell me good morning in your local dialect. I always love to hear good morning or welcome in your local dialect. And without much said, that is what we're going to be doing now. We're going to be saying good morning, hello, and all kinds of fancy things in different local dialects. Hang with me real quick as we do that. Listen, if you're watching us from Burkina Faso, or if you're from the Moshi land of Burkina Faso, of course we say Bella to you, Ibio Kabare to you, Baraka Dazua, Sanuku Dazua. This is Hausa, that is welcome, or you are all most welcome. As always, ya ken tuma tuma, fudua wela, futuma an wela, tipozi wanambaraka. All of these, as always, are from my native dialect, and that is the Kosal language. La awane, as the Frafra said, ansuma, as the Wales will say, indinao, Wezo from the Ewe people of Ghana, Ojeko from the Ga people of Ghana. Of course, if you live in Accra, you definitely know what Ojeko means, right? Ekabo or Ekaro from the Yoruba people, Nabato from the Igbo people, Etiseng Akraba, Owentiden, Mimawachi. All of these from the Ashanti and the Fanti area of Ghana. Karibu, the Swahilis will say, Habari Gani, Habari Yasubwe, Oyawure from the Luo people of Kenya, Mangawanani from the Shona people of Zimbabwe. I hope I got that part right. I need somebody to correct me if I got that wrong. Nagadef, the Wolof people will say, Inyasi, Aloy, Fudomelaki. That is what the Bisa people of Ghana will also say. Akei, the Creoles will say. Naomai from the Maori land. And of course, Welena from the Hawaiian people. Dumela, the Soto kings of South Africa. And of course, our Fulani people will say Kotoli to you. And yes, if you are from any part of the world that, speaks English, welcome. Good morning from New York. Thank you so much for joining us. It is such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time to see you. Let me jump right in and just briefly introduce our guest today. I am always excited to hear stories from all parts of the world, but this particular show is for people of Africa. We are the original gatekeepers of stories. And so today our storytelling train is taking us from all parts of the world. All parts of Africa, okay? My guest is one of the humble people I know. Even when he speaks, I feel like I just want to go to sleep. His speech has humility attached to it. It is so amazing. And I cannot wait for you to meet him. Mr. Abdul Razak Wuni. He was born in Bolga. And then, of course, he comes from Bawku Central, or actually, let me clarify that. He comes from Bawku, period. I come from Bawku Central, whatever that means. He's the second of 5. He has 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He was in Tamale Secondary School, that is the Great Tamasco, and had his undergraduate studies at the University of Ghana and postgraduate studies at Cardiff University in the UK. He is a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. He is married with 2 children, Wuntima and Wunini. Let me tell you, I wish you understood the meanings behind these names. Powerful meanings right there. In his own words, he says, things have not always been rosy for me. I sold ice cream at a point, worked as a laborer before returning to the hospital to head the department where I worked as a laborer. Wow. I always say my story was from Dada B. And if you're from Ghana, Dada B just means somebody who always got what they wanted from their father. I'm a Dada B. All of my siblings are Dada Bs. It's not because we were rich, it's just we had very hardworking parents, okay? So he says his story is from him being a dada bee to selling ice cream, and from laborer in the radiology department of Bawku Hospital, and now a lecturer in radiology at the University of Cape Coast, and just one of 5. Can you believe that? One of 5 with a PhD in radiology in the whole of Ghana. That statistic is crazy. And with that excitement, please, 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 let me say, or if you guys can please help me say, welcome, 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 sir, welcome. Say welcome to him in all of your local dialects, people, right here in the comment section. Razak, you're welcome.
Thank you, Zoe.
Please, as always, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the viewers across the world. Depending on the time where you are welcome. And I must say I'm very privileged. I feel very privileged to be on this platform. I've watched the caliber of people who have come here before me, and I'm really humbled that I'm invited to tell my story on a platform that many great people I've looked up to have shared their stories. So from the beginning, I want to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share my story. I just hope that at the end of I hope that at the end of the day, there might be some lessons that would be picked up from my story. I don't think my story is unique. I know many people probably have similar stories, but I just hope that I have gotten the opportunity to tell my story. I hope that at the end of the day, we are able to pick one thing or the other from it. And then we would feel that we have done some good service.
Yes. Before you jump in there, let me first of all say that your story is definitely unique to you and to a lot of people that look up to you. And let me take this chance to just say good morning to a few people. Sumaya Akom, thank you so much for joining us, my dear. Ralia Sorogo, thank you for, my sisters are up in here today. Hello, Beverly Ross. And of course, my Bronco. Hello, our esteemed original online producer Yidana. Thank you so much for joining us. Sumaya says Lafube. Yes, we have Lafe, which means we have life. Thank you so much for doing that. That's amazing. And there goes Carl. Carl says, good morning, my neighbors, as the Zamunda people will say. If you watch Coming to America, you know what that means. Marias Owen says, yay, Amaraba. I do believe Amaraba also is Hausa. So thank you so much for that. Welcome to the show. Newton, thank you so much. Good morning to you, my beautiful, beautiful soul that you are. Thank you so much for joining us. And now that all the greetings are out of the way, Sharon Dakers also says, good morning from the Jamaica land. Thank you so much for joining us, my dear. All right, over to you, sir.
Okay, so I have 3 little stories.
Okay.
The Sunyani story, the Bawku story, and the Accra story.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would begin with the Sunyani story. Now, Sunyani story because we lived in Sunyani at a time. And then we lived in Sunyani basically because my dad worked there, and my dad was a senior administrator. Now, for those who know how the civil service system works here, the highest you can rise within civil service is to become a chief director. And at the time my dad passed, he was a chief director. So that's, yeah. And he passed before he was 50. So at the time he passed, it was really pretty rare to find that at that time, it was pretty young to become a chief director before 50. So, yeah. And at the time, because he was top official, what happened is that there was an area in Sunyani towards the residency where the regional minister lived. All of the top executives lived around that area. So we lived there as well. And just across the road to the other side where the junior staff and the rest of them lived. And where we lived was a 5-bedroom house that we lived in. And then my dad passed away August 4th, 94. And I don't remember correctly, but I think it must have been 3 months later, we're informed that we had to move across the road to the other side where the junior workers lived, and we could only move there only because my mom worked for was a nurse, so she was entitled to accommodation. So that's why we moved there. If my mom was not entitled to accommodation, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be given anywhere. So we're just asked to move to that other side. Now that other side was what in Ghana we call a chamber and a hall. So that's more like for those viewing outside of Ghana, that would be like a chamber and hall. How would we call it? That's like
a condo.
It's like yeah.
Like a little condo where you have one little a kitchen attached to it and a little bedroom, wow.
Yeah. And then we were 5. I mean, I have 4 other siblings. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters with my mother. So we were 5, and we had to all of a sudden move from the 5-bedroom and then get cramped in there. Now, what then happened was, one, we had moved to a smaller place. We had to be cramped in there. Now we're all much younger, so my mom had to do a lot of psyching to get us, because it just didn't make sense to any of us, And then the second thing was all of the people that related to you in a certain kind of way, because you lived across the streets and because your dad was up there, no longer related to you in that kind of a way anymore. And people that you thought were your friends, a lot of them just drifted off, and it didn't just end with friends. When your dad was there, everybody who was traveling along the way would stop by to say hello, and then all of a sudden, nobody was stopping by to say hello. And people that you thought were friends were no longer friends. So it was a clear case of having a feel of the haves, then all of a sudden you are having to feel the have-nots as well, and it's pretty sharp. And the transition was so swift. It was like you slept on this side and you had to deal with all of that at a go. So that wasn't easy. And so my mom, for instance, had to sell charcoal alongside to be able to support us. Because let's face it, even till now, nurses are not paid any good money here. And then my dad was a top administrator, so he earned way much more than, about 10, 20 times more than what my mom earned. And all of a sudden, those resources were no longer available, so it had changed. Everything changed completely. So my mom was struggling to make sure that,
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But my mom had to struggle to make sure that we had to she made sure that one thing that we didn't have to change was schools. Because she felt that if she took us to schools that were lower, it might affect our academic performance. So she didn't move us from schools. So everything else was affected, but the schools, we remained in the same schools. So we didn't change schools. Like for a decade, my mom didn't buy any new clothes. None. Yeah. So that's the Siani story.
My God. Let me just put it right there. That is a classic story of, there's always a story of from grass to grace. And this is kind of like the
Yeah.
reverse of it, where you're really in grace and then suddenly you are in the grass. And for a young
Yeah.
person, that must have hit you right in the face. And
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how that must have affected your growing up life right now. But I'm going to let you go on and tell us the second story. Wow. And the audience, please, I want you to tell me what you just got from this powerful story of really from, I want to say grace to grass, but it's actually the opposite, right? Was it? Yeah, grace to grass.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. All right, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. And then the second story is what I call the Bawku story.
Mm.
So when my dad passed, then we moved on to. I went through secondary school. When I finished secondary school, I felt like going back home. I was going to be a burden to my mom. And by then, my mom was still in Sunyani. So I decided that I would go to Bawku, where we come from. So I went to Bawku, and my uncle Alhaji Ahmed, he took me in, and I lived with him. I lived in his house, and he was starting a new shop, a provision shop, a shop that is the needs, And when he started it, then he asked that I should help with the shop. So I stayed in there to help with the shop. And one day I was in the shop, then somebody walked into the shop to buy stuff. And this person who walked into the shop to buy stuff recognized me, and he was like, "Are you C.S. Wuni's son?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Which of them? Are you Razak or Amin?" And Amin is my elder brother. So I was like, Razak. And my elder brother was also around. So I was like, "I'm Razak, but Amin is in there." So he spoke to me and he was like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "That's my uncle's house. I live here. My uncle owns the shop. I sell here." It's like, "Yeah, but you cannot be selling. You are C.S. Wuni's son. You cannot be selling." And I'm like, I'm looking at him in a funny way because everybody wanted to sell in the shop. All of my cousins, everybody wanted to sell in the shop. So when I got selected to sell in the shop, for someone to come and tell me that I shouldn't be selling in the shop, I was looking at him in a strange way, And he said Bawku Hospital was recruiting, so he could put in a word for me to go work in Bawku Hospital. And I was like, okay, why not? So he put in a word. So I was employed in the radiology department at Bawku Hospital. Now, when I was employed there, they said a technical assistant, but really I was like an errand boy within the department. So they sent me around to do stuff for them. I cleaned the place. So more or less I was like a laborer in there, So when I started, then he came by the hospital and I was like, no, you cannot end here. You've got to go to school. I'm like, okay.
So fast.
And it was the same and said I had to go back to school. I was like, okay. So I applied, then I went to school to do radiology. Then I returned to Bawku Hospital. When I returned to Bawku and I started working, now all of the people that worked there now were under me because none of them had the qualification that I had acquired. So from their errand boy, I was now their head.
Oh.
Yeah. So from running errand from them, now I was their head and I was the one who could, if they were going to be appraised, I had to appraise them. So for me at that point, I felt like, okay, yeah, it's okay. I've achieved. Yeah, it's fine. Then I go to greet Mr. Yakubu and tell Mr. Yakubu that I've finished, I've come, I'm now the head of the unit. He's like, young man, no, you haven't arrived yet. You've got more to do. You've got to think about going back to school. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, Mr. Yakubu, what's wrong with you?
I
but
was achieved a big thing.
you know, so he was like, I've got to go back to school. So, and he kept pushing. So I was like, okay, good. I'll go back to school. So, and when I finished, I didn't return to Bawku Hospital.
Mm.
But so when I didn't return to Bawku Hospital, I stayed on in Accra, and that is where the Accra story would begin.
Wow. Wow. Let me read a few comments here. Somebody had made a powerful statement, well, funny really, about, I think this was in regards to the Sunyani story. Sumaya Kom says that's why someone said a friend is a spiritual enemy. I do believe she was talking about the fact that some of your friends suddenly were not relating to you after you moved to the other side of the fence, and that is very, very funny. Yirana, of course, that's the strength of a woman, referring to your mother having to sell charcoal and then, not buying clothes for herself for over 10 years. That is a powerful thing. I mean, I know a lot of women who would do this, including myself, really. Of course, Beverly Ross says, being strong in the will to make it through no matter what. And of course, my Bronco says so that shop was the introduction of Amin and Razak to their siblings in Bawku, including my good self. Oh, look, you just added to the story. Razak, do you mind letting us know who this person is? The one who got you to Bawku Hospital and all? Uncle Yidana is trying to add a little meat to the story over here. So I'm going to let you answer that question real quick.
Okay, yeah, the one that got me to Bawku was Mr. Yakubu. Now, Mr. Yakubu was my father's assistant. Apparently, when my father was an administrator, at the point my father was an administrator in WA. Now, when he was administrator in WA, Mr. Yakubu was his assistant.
Oh my
God! I was probably I was so little to have known him. But when he started speaking and mentioned his name, I could recollect the name. But when I saw him at that point, I couldn't make him out. Unfortunately, Mr. Agu passed away a couple of months ago.
Oh, my condolences to you and of course to the whole family. But what an instrumental person. We all need a Mr. Yakubu in our lives, someone who just comes out of the shadows and kind of like turns us around. But also the very powerful, I don't even want to imagine, what if your father had mistreated him, or in some way cut short his destiny, then you wouldn't even be where you are now. It's a classic story of one good turn deserving another. And your father had paid it forward. And look at you now. Wow. We thank Mr. Yakubu and God bless his family. And of course, from my younger self to his entire family, we want to say our deepest condolences to them all. Wow. Wow. Go ahead, sir. I know you have a third story for us.
Yeah, so that's the Accra story. So came back to school at University of Ghana. When I finished, what then happened was I was asked to stay on at University of Ghana to help their students with clinical stuff. So I ended up with the University of Ghana Hospital where I worked. So I worked there and then I was helping with the students with their clinicals. So I stayed on there and I worked. And the person that I worked under at University of Ghana was one Mrs. Note, Philomena Note. Now, she actually also just kept insisting that I should go to school. She felt I had much more. I don't know why she felt so, but she just felt that I could do a lot more. So she kept pushing. And so at a point, I decided that, okay, I would do it. So I applied and I got admission to do a PhD in City University in London. That was in 2011. So I put, and then unfortunately my supervisor was expecting some funding for the project and he didn't get the funding. So he was like, look, what you want to do is interesting. If you can raise the funding, it will be good to go to go on with it. So I was like, okay, so let me try and see if I can get a scholarship from here. Because at the time, it had become late to apply for any external scholarship. So I applied to the Ghana Education Trust Fund for a scholarship. And then I knew my story was compelling, so I just let it go and I went to rest. Then I got a call that said, you've been awarded a scholarship, bring your passport, some certificate, national service certificate and stuff to the Ghana Education Trust Fund the next day. So I was excited, but I had all of those documents ready at home. So I felt the next day I could easily go and present them. So the next day I picked them. When I got to work, I waited for my boss to come in. When she came in, I told her, oh, this is what has happened, and I was waiting for you to come in before I go. And she was like, sure, you can go. So just when I was speaking to her, my phone rang. And when I picked up the phone, it was from Ghana Education Trust Fund. And they were like, the lady was like, we called you yesterday to say you had been awarded a scholarship. You should bring your documents. Unfortunately, that was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to be you. Your name is not on the list.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So when she said that, I was like, okay, that's fine. Thank you. And then I hung up. Then a few minutes, she calls me back and she's like, really? Why are you so calm about it? Why? Why are you not reacting? Why are you not throwing tantrums? Why? I just said, Madam, if it is God's will that this is mine, there is nobody that can stop it. If it is not, if it's not God's will, there's nothing I can do about it. It won't happen. Then she took in a deep breath. Then she was like, she mentioned someone's name. She was like, do you know this person? And I was like, yes. And she was like, do you have a problem with the person? And I said, no. And she said, okay. He called and said we should take your name out. So it isn't that you didn't make the cut, but he said we should take your name out.
Oh my God.
So that's why we took it out. So I said, okay, thank you. And she was surprised that I could just still say thank you. I was not angry. Then, so she insisted. She said, look, let's go and see the sector minister, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education about it. And I was like, Madam, you know what? I believe that if God wants me to get this, I'll get it. If God doesn't want me to get it, I won't get it. She insisted. So out of respect for her, I agreed to go see the Minister of Education. When we see him, when we saw him there, he just brushed it off. He was like, look, if they have said that your name is not on it and that it was a mistake, it was a mistake. That's it. I'm not going to do anything about it. So I said, thank you. Then I left. And I explained to the lady what happened. And she just said she had never seen somebody take things that calmly. I was like, look, I've experienced life. And I just feel that if it's yours, it's yours. If it's not yours, it's not yours. So I let it go. I let it go. And then I just continued to live my life, continued to work at the University of Ghana. And 5 years later, which was 2016, I applied and got an admission to Cardiff University to do the same research. And at the time, I was waiting for Cardiff University to decide on their scholarships, but they had not decided yet. And I tried to apply to the Ghana Education Trust Fund again, because this time the person was no longer in that position where he was previously. He was in a particular ministry that he could use his influence, but now he was no longer there. So I just tried it again. Now, when I went to submit, they told me they were not receiving applications. So they couldn't do anything about it. So I said, okay. And then there's this auntie of mine I had stayed with some time back, Auntie B, and I had not seen her for a while. So I just went by to say hello to her. And she's asking what I'm doing with my life. And I'm like, oh, I'm at the University of Ghana Hospital, blah, but I want to go to school and I'm chasing a scholarship. The university hasn't decided yet. And now I was trying to chase one at Ghana Education Trust Fund and to say they are not receiving applications. She was like, Ghana Education Trust Fund? And I was like, yeah. She's like, there are folks there that owe your father a favor. So I'm going to place a call to them, and they owe your dad a favor, so one of them would have to do something about it. So she called someone, and then the person was like, okay, so bring your applications, take it to this particular person, and when you go submit it, what I can assure you is that if you meet the cut, you will get it. Nobody can stop it. But if you don't meet the cut, I'm not going to push it because CS Wuni will not push it. And I said, no worries. If it's based on merit, I'll get it. So I went and I submitted it, and the man I submitted it to asked me to sit down. So I sat down, and then he looked through the application, then he was like, wow, okay. Then he asked me, are you CS Wuni's son? I was like, yeah, that's my dad. Then he also asked the same question, are you Amin or Razak? And I said, I'm Razak. It's like, wow, see how you are all grown. And I'm like, yeah. Then he said, look, I'm going to present this before the board. I am convinced that this is the type of cases we should sponsor. But I'm going to put it before the board and let them decide. And I'm going to make a case for you. If the board agrees, you will get a scholarship. Monday, on a Thursday, I got a call from Ghana Education Trust Fund. I'd been awarded a scholarship.
Oh my
and I was actually my documents the next day. The Friday, I took the documents. This time, nobody called me to say it was a mistake. I took the documents, I submitted them. I got to go to Cardiff. I studied there for my PhD, and I finished the PhD in record time. I was done before 3 years. Yeah. So that's my story.
Wow. I'm here. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces of the story in what we would call pre-production stage and dry run stage. But I'm having tears right now, just the way you told it. I want you to maybe bring it home. This person that said no the first time, have you met him ever again?
See, the interesting thing is that I've actually attended to him as my patient.
After you got the PhD?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And this was in the heat of COVID. In the heat of COVID, in a facility where I am not an employee of, but they needed somebody to do an agent thing for him. And then they called to ask if I could do it. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? No problem. And I went to do it.
And you saw his name and you still went?
I knew who I was going to attend to before I went. It didn't bother me.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm watching a Nigerian movie right now, and I don't know what you must have gone through. It did not bother you at all. That is amazing. Wow. Did he say anything after? I'm stumped for words. He must have at least said sorry to you.
No, he just said thank you and left. The thing is, he doesn't know I know he was the one behind it.
Oh my God. Wow.
And for me, now I don't see it to be an issue because he stopped me from going to study for the PhD, but I have studied for that PhD. Okay, and so what he tried to do, he might have succeeded at that point, but he wasn't going to be able to do it forever. So eventually I got to do the PhD. Now the thing is this, and then we are just five of us with PhD in that area in the whole of that country. And we have to train people, we have to train radiographers for the whole of this country. And we are just five of us. So for instance, last semester I was teaching 5 courses.
Oh my God.
This semester I'm teaching 6 courses, and I'm teaching every level: first year, second year, third year, fourth year, because they are not enough qualified people to teach the program.
Oh, my stomach is in knots just thinking about all the nuanced implications of that person saying no that first time.
You see, and you see the well, that's my younger sister, the one that comes after me is Wuni, the one that just said she's moved. That's my younger sister, she comes after me. You see, and when I finished, Cardiff Uni wanted to keep me. The offer that I was made was £3,500 a month. The offer that I was getting in Ghana was less than $1,000 a month. I came to Ghana.
My brain is doing somersaults. Just wow.
And me, what I say every time is this: if the UK needs one person with a PhD in radiography, they can recruit from anywhere across the world. If Ghana needs one with a PhD, we can recruit from anywhere, because we do not have the money to be competitive. So if I had to make that choice, I made the decision to come here.
I am stumped. I don't know how to even end this conversation. Well, I don't know if I should say well done or come through the screen and give you a pat in the head and say, why did you leave that money on the table? Most people would do that, but won't do that. But a true son of Ghana, and of course, a real true son of Mr. C.S. Wuni, because I do believe he would do that. He would definitely have probably left £3,500 on the table and said, this is my home, I'm going back. And you did that. What a powerful, riveting story. And I love the fact that you literally tried to tell your entire life story with 3 little stories and moved it from Sunyani to Bawku to Accra, of course to Cardiff and back to Accra and then to Cape Coast. And I love that so much. Thank you. We are so humbled that you came here to tell your story. I do believe at least 1 or 2 of them for the very first time on a large platform like this. I do appreciate that so much. Thank you. I wanted to go ahead and read a few comments, a very poignant ones. Let's see. I saw a few of them. Yusuf says that shop was the birthplace of our friendship. Possibilities are infinite. Keep going, man. I do believe you're talking about
that's my very good friend.
Wow, what a good way to.
Yeah, Yusuf is my good friend. Yeah.
Wow. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My bronco, I always have trouble just calling him just Yidana. So I have to figure out, what am I saying now, brother or uncle? And so, he merged it for me. My bronco, Mr. Yidana, he says, Mr. Yakubu became an administrator in Bawku. Wow. And trust me, he impacted anyone he met. I heard of his passing just 2 weeks ago from my mom. Really great.
Yeah.
Wow. God bless Mr. Yakubu, God bless him. I was born in Bawku Hospital. I do venture to say this is the Presby Hospital.
Yeah.
Presbyterian. Wow, look at that. 30-something years later, we're still talking about this great institution. I was born there too. I am very grateful to the people that worked very hard to keep that place going. Newton says, made my morning calmness ruled. This is true. This is true. This is true. Thank you so much for joining us, Danlad Dasu Sumani. I hope I said that right. Bronco says, please let me know the one who asks that your name be taken off. I want to clap for the fellow. Matter of fact, let's all just do that. Let's clap for him. Those who say no to you actually help you to do things yourself. They steer you where God actually intended. This is true. Sharon Dakers over here in New York also says, no one can stop God's perfect timing. I like the fact that I guess she wanted to say he was always willing to do more when someone recognized his potential. Thank you so much, Sharon Dakers, for that. Let's see. Carl Romeo says enemies are not God. Abdul Razak says powerful. Just so many comments. I just want to acknowledge each and every one of you. Shamira when he says we have come far.
Yes, that's my younger sister.
All of you, welcome. Shamira, Zulaiha, thank you so much for coming in to support, of course, your big brother and the show. We appreciate it so much. God bless you. Wow. There's so many things going on over here. Of course, Bronco says, CS Wuni has a hand in making you choose the less than $1,000 instead of 3,500 pounds to come back to Ghana. Bless his soul wherever he is. Thank you. And I probably wanted, I'm sure he wanted to say thank you and God bless you. So I'm going to add that thank you and God bless you. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Your story is so powerful in so many ways. You know, these days we always say, put it in a book. And it's true because it is the only way we get to teach the younger generation. 5,000 years from now, who knows? I'm sure there'll probably be still a planet Earth, but perhaps there's someone down the road who would say there is a great man that lived 5,000 years ago. And just like we talk about Plato and Aristotle and all these people, hopefully they're speaking about you too in that way, sir. We truly appreciate your time. Thank you for taking time off of your very busy schedule. You're teaching six classes. I can't even imagine. Wow. Thank you. I am very, very, very taken by you and by your story. We appreciate you so much. Listen, guys, I wanted to say thank you for joining us. I see a lot of you came on. Some of you were silent because I'm sure you were taken in by the story. Didn't even get to say anything. Go back and whatever you thought about any of the stories that Razak shared, please, we want to hear from you. And of course, we want to hear where you're coming from, who you are, and tell us a little bit about yourself. We are the gatekeepers of stories in Africa. We want to keep telling our stories, okay? And we're very honored to have you here. Next week, we're going to have another powerful storyteller. He is a pastor, a poet, a spoken word artist, so many things mixed in there. And we're still, the storytelling train is still in Ghana for the moment. So do not miss it. I know you want to hear many stories. Stories propel us into the future. So please do not miss next week. Speaking about Dear Son, we are going to be trying to do Dear Son in September, unfortunately, because of time schedules that were clashing and all kinds of other things mixing in there. Hopefully in September, we will be doing Dear Son, discussing Mephibosheth. I cannot even say that word with a straight face, but I know that you do not want to miss it, coming to you live from the Red Sea Studios. So please make a date with us. My name is Zoe Baraka. It has been to my younger self, Mr. Wuni. God bless you. I appreciate you coming on and telling your story so calmly, so humbly. I would have been screaming by now with the kind of story you just told. So as always, we give our guest the very last word. So can you tell us, what do you have to say to our audience that is watching today?
Well, basically for me,
I think the internet just did a thing with Mr. Wuni. Yes. Oh my God. All right. Well, let's read a few Okay, there you go. We have him now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So because whatever you do, you would get a reward for it. Either you would get a reward for it, your child, somebody else will get a reward for it. So be mindful, whatever you do, and believe in God's timing. His timing is not our timing. We don't understand his ways.
Wow.
Be patient, be diligent, work at it, work hard, keep working. And at the right time, from nowhere, the help that you need would arrive, and you'll be amazed.
And with that very powerful, just packing a punch statement, I want to say thank you for joining us again from the To My Younger Self studio, from the Dear Daughter Studios, and also thank you to Mr. Razak Wuni. God bless you. I appreciate your time. My name is Zoe Baraka, as always, and I've been in the studio with Mr. Razak Wuni Bawumia. Thank you so much. Listen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. COVID is there. It's harsh. Okay? Take care of yourself. I want you to come back next week. So please take care of yourself. Come and let's tell stories. We are the village. All right? All right. I love you. I know Mr. Winnie loves you. And that is all that we can say. God bless you. We love you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.